Life is the greatest gift of all the riches on the earth. Life and its creatures, great and small, of high and lowly birth. So treasure it and measure it with deeds of shining worth. Mind is the brightest gift of all, its thought no barrier mars. It seeks creation's hidden plan, its quest surmounts all bars. It rains the wind, it chains the storm, it weighs the outmost stars. As Unitarian Universalists, we believe truth is larger than any one book or way. Religion and science go hand in hand. Integrity requires freedom of conscience. Diversity is something to celebrate. In the struggle for justice, we come alive. Our highest aspiration and calling is love. We are of life, a shining gift, the measure of all things. Up from the dust, our temples lift, our vision soars on wings. For seed and root, for flower and fruit, our grateful spirit sings. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever path you are on, you are welcome here. I'm going to say the words this morning. We light this chalice in this season of changing skies, when winter loosens and spring begins. May this flame remind us that ours is a faith for uncertain times, a faith of hope, courage, of welcome, and of renewal. In the chill and in the thaw, in the gray and the growing light, may we be present to one another and open to new life. Well, welcome, West Shore. How are you this morning? I don't believe you. How are you doing this morning? This is the best place to be on a Sunday morning in Cleveland. We are so glad you have joined us this morning. There is so much going on at West Shore. Check out the inserts in your order of service to find out some more. I do want to bring a couple of things to your attention. This afternoon at 4 p.m., here in the sanctuary, a concert featuring Andrew Pongrantz, who is the principal percussionist of the Cleveland Chamber Symphony and the Youngstown Symphony, and the principal timpanist of the Cleveland Pops Orchestra. Yeah. This concert is a part of the B. Neil Davis Artist Series, and Andrew will be joined by our own Dave Blazer throughout many of the pieces. Throughout, yeah. This music is going to delight your senses. It will lift your spirits. Come on this afternoon, 4 p.m. for this wonderful concert. Now, next Sunday, March 29th, join us for a service with something very special at its center, a reveal of the full extent of what your voices have shaped. 9 focus groups, 127 participants, nearly 300 ideas and perspectives from this congregation. Next Sunday, we will share what emerged from all of these conversations. This service now is going to feature a bit of a twist. Okay? Something is going to happen in this room. You are going to like it. It will move you. And then you want to stay, because we are hosting a real celebration, a festive brunch with good food, good conversation, a spread worthy of all the work that we have put in. I want to be clear about one thing. This is a celebration, not a solicitation. Nothing will be asked of you but your presence. Be here. This is a morning to honor who we are here at West Shore and to share the vision of where together we are headed. RSVP for brunch. It closes today, so please RSVP. There is a QR code in your bulletin. We want to save a seat for you. Come on. 1 week from today, West Shore. We hope to see every one of you there. We cannot celebrate fully without you. Now let me ask, if you are here for the first or second time and you don't mind people knowing, would you raise an arm? Let us greet you specially. Hey, we're glad you guys are here. Thanks so much for coming. Thank you. We are now going to pass the peace to each other, greet each other warmly. Children and youth grades K through 12 can leave for their classes. The greeting time will end with the soundings of the bowl. Are you ready? Are you ready? Here, let's do it. Come on, let's greet each other. Come to this good morning, remembering the journey of freedom. The land we are on was once another's. We mourn the legacies of oppression. Healing is our way forward. Joy is the birthright of all.
Good morning. Although I feel by now, after the last few weeks, I know all of you. Just in case I have missed someone, I'm Vicki Warden. And Suhanna Carries, our finance manager, and I are the chairs of the Ways and Means Council. And as you're aware, the various councils are allowed, shall I say, to select a nonprofit, local nonprofit organization that we feel deserves a little extra help from our congregation. So today's organization that and Suhan and I were really excited about this one, is called Seeds of Literacy. Yeah. Thank you, April. I was thinking about I would ask for a show of hands for any of us who have volunteered for Seeds along the way. I know I did 20 years ago. There's several hands. But we have a speaker today. This is John Martin. John is the Outreach Community Coordinator for the organization. And boy, have they grown in the 20 years since I think, helped them out. I hope I didn't destroy their computer system. Could have happened. But John will tell you about the organization, and if you're interested, particularly in maybe volunteering yourself, there is information on a table out by the office. So, John?
Good morning, everyone. Seeds of Literacy is an adult education program that was started in 1997 by the Sisters of St. Joseph. We have grown from being in a couple of church basements to we have our permanent location is West 25th and Clark. And we also have an online presence where we help up to 1,600 people a year, anywhere between learning how to read all the way up to taking and passing their GED. We do all of the GED preparation for them for free. So we go through, we provide all of their assessments, we provide all of their practice tests, their materials. All of our tutors are volunteers, so we don't have a cost on that, but the donation of time is worth more than we can ever like put together as far as a thank you to anyone, because we very much depend on our volunteers. I've been with Seeds of Literacy for 4 years. It is an organization that when I first walked in, I did my interview. After my interview, I actually told my boss, if you decide to not hire me, how do I stay involved? It's that type of an organization. We work with adults, so anyone 18 and older. Our oldest student is about to turn 91. So it is never too late. Some people want to come get their GED, some just want to improve their math and reading skills. We are there for whatever their personal goals are, and we can't do it without generosity of both monetary and as well as time. We very much appreciate time that's given to us. If you have any questions, I know I'll be out in the lobby after service. I'll have my business card and some flyers out there. Thank you.
Today's outreach offering will now be gratefully received.
Wonderful to see everyone here this morning. Good attendance. One other announcement not made earlier is please, after the service in the rotunda, there are sign-up sheets for the brunch taking place next weekend, okay? So sign up. Please come. Today's reading comes from Randall Fuller's book, Bright Circle. In one of the conversations that Margaret Fuller led, she asked the participants to write an essay about the differences between men and women. Only one of these transcribed in full, that of a young woman named Sally Gardner, who on each Wednesday would make a 10-mile journey to attend the conversations, and then a carriage ride home of another 2 hours to get back home. In her essay, Gardner spoke about the prejudices that keep women's lives small, and it became the focus of a discussion. Gardner's conclusion was that once prejudice ceased to exist, women would assume larger roles in world history. How do we know that in the possible future, she asked? Women's intellect may not manifest itself in forms as beautiful as poetry and art, or in permanence as empires, all emanating from her home, created out of it from her relations as daughter, sister, wife, and mother. You can almost picture the women discussing Gardner's essay. Some lean forward to speak. Others silently mulled over the essay's implications. And at some point, Margaret Fuller told them she believed it was the duty of every human to strive after perfection. The young soul, true to itself, desired, demanded in its unfoldings the universe. It wanted to reform society, to know everything, to beautify everything, and to have a perfect friend. If this was not always possible, there was no reason for despair. The courageous soul, Fuller said, accepted the limitations and trusted that it may be what it is not. That it may be what it is not. Others joined in at this point, asking questions, raising objections, set out in unexpected directions. On and on the women continued, pulling threads of conversation from the tapestry of their lives, pursuing thoughts wherever they led, encouraging, challenging, and inspiring one another. Here ends today's reading.
Let's now join together in our beautiful community ritual of For All That Is Our Lives. I saw someone take 2 stones to place them. And it got me thinking about how much it is on our hearts this morning, each of you. How many joys, how many concerns, troubles are on your heart, and you could place 1 stone for each. How many stones would you take? There wouldn't be enough, right? All that you are is honored and loved in this space. And I will take these expressions of joy and concern into my prayers this week and pray for all that is our lives. That's our West Shore Choir. There are seasons when the question is not, what do I want? The question is, what do I do with the life I have been given? This life with its limits. What do I do when I feel called toward larger love and purpose, but I also feel hemmed in? Hemmed in by family history, hemmed in by money, hemmed in by illness, hemmed in by timing, hemmed in by old wounds, hemmed in by the body, hemmed in by fear. What do I do? Imagine a 29-year-old with a college degree, a decent job, and a careful budget spreadsheet. She is not irresponsible. She is not lazy. She is doing what she was told would lead to stability. And yet she is back at her parents' house for now, in her old bedroom, with posters from high school. She's trying to pay down loans. She is watching rent rise faster than her paycheck. She is wondering whether adulthood has become a moving target. A lot of younger adults know some version of that feeling. It is not failure of aspiration. It is not a failure of effort. It is the feeling of being asked to build a life in a world where ordinary stability has become harder to reach. Margaret Fuller knew that question in her own way and in her own century. How do you live a larger life inside real constraint? This is one reason why she belongs in a sermon series on Transcendentalism. Yes, she was one of its great minds. Yes, she was a pioneering feminist, editor, critic, and journalist, but she belongs here for another reason. She belongs because her life asks a question that is still so very meaningful to us. Margaret Fuller offers us a form of spiritual inheritance we badly need, not the fantasy of lofty thoughts that will keep life from being life. She offers something sturdier. She offers the witness of a person who kept enlarging her mind, heart, and soul even when life would not be easy. The great writer Thomas Carlyle once just tried to describe what he saw in her. He spoke of her, quote, insatiable hunger for experience, unquote. A determination, he said, to, quote, eat this big universe as her oyster or her egg. Isn't that a line? What must he have seen in her? Fuller was not built for narrowness. She was a teacher, editor, public intellectual, reformer, feminist, pioneer, and eventually the first female war correspondent. Her famous conversations were not just genteel gatherings. They challenged women to think, to grow, to become. Hunger to become was at the center of it. But though she knew the feeling, the word for it, the concept, was not really available to her in 19th century New England and had to be imported from Germany. The word was Bildung, the idea of developing mind and character towards fuller maturity or self-culture. Many of us know this hunger to become also, even if we have never used that word. We know what it is like to feel that there is more in us that has yet found form, more life than the life we are currently living, more soul than our present shape can contain. And Fuller did not apologize for that hunger. She respected it. During one of the conversations, when someone implied that feeling alone was enough to validate judgment, Fuller pushed back. Yes, feeling does matter, but if you are not yet all that a human being can become, then feeling alone can distort judgment. She believed authenticity matters, but so does maturation. Character is not only something to be expressed, it is to be developed. But if we stop there, we turn Margaret Fuller into a stained glass icon, bigger than life, made of different stuff. It only falsifies her. Alongside the brilliance and the force, there was real fragility and struggle. Her father, Timothy Fuller, deliberately trained her intellect and, by her later reckoning, starved her heart. His approval was conditional. Affection was tied to performance. That leaves a mark, and some of us know it well. You become capable, articulate, accomplished, useful. And somewhere underneath all that competence, a child is still asking, am I loved, or am I merely being graded? Fuller carried that wound. She also carried a deep sense of homelessness. She wrote of having no real hold on life, no permanent connection. She tried to make her mind a home when she could not find one in the world. How many people do that? How many become brilliant in the very place where they are lonely? And then there was her divided self. The desire to be a genius and the desire to be cherished. Public vocation, private tenderness. The need to become and the need to belong. If we preach Fuller honestly, she becomes less icon and more companion. Because her story is the story of anyone who has thought, I have a calling, I have gifts, but then there are also all the obligations, and there are so many wounds and needs, and all of it pulling at once. So no, Margaret Fuller is not a saint of smooth progress. She is a witness to intense becoming under pressure. There is a moment in her life that I think belongs in every Unitarian Universalist sermon on Margaret Fuller. It is Thanksgiving Day, 1830. She goes to church in part to please her father and leaves more desolate than before. She feels that she has power and generosity and tenderness within her, but no way for them to be used in life. So she leaves. She walks for hours, agitated, through fields and woods until she comes to a stream and a dark pool. And there she has a breakthrough. Notice how it comes. Not because everything was finally going well, but because of distress and pain. She sees first the harsh truth of limitation. How long the soul must learn to act under these limitations of time and space and human nature. And yet also this insistence that the soul must do it. They must do it. The soul must, quote, make all this false true and sow new and immortal plants in the garden of God. Right there is the keynote. The soul must learn to act under limitations. not after limitations are removed, not once the diagnosis is gone, not once the money appears, not once the grief ends, under limitations, and still so immortal plants. That may be one of the most important spiritual truths any of us can hear, because some of us are waiting to begin living until life becomes less difficult. And some of us know by now that day is not coming. In that same experience, Fuller also saw that she had suffered by treating the isolated self, her isolated self, as ultimate, and that she could live in what she called the idea of the all. For 1 hour, she says, she was taken up into God. That is not denial. It is a widening. Her life did not suddenly become simple. Her suffering was placed in a larger frame. Sometimes what saves us is not the removal of pain. Sometimes what saves us is a larger horizon in which pain is no longer the whole sky. And here is where Fuller speaks so profoundly. Over time, she moved beyond the more optimistic transcendentalist language of inevitable progress and embraced something harder, truer, and in many ways more useful. At one point she wrote, we shall be in this life mutilated beings. That is a hard sentence. But many people know exactly what she means. Do you know what she means? There are losses we do not outgrow. There are wounds that do not become opportunities just because someone said they ought to. There are capacities we never get to develop. There are years we do not get back. To be human is in part to be unfinished and limited. Fuller saw that clearly. But she did not collapse into cynicism. She did not then say, so why bother? She kept writing. She kept learning, kept loving, kept becoming. Margaret Fuller outgrew optimism without surrendering vitality. That is a gift. Because many people today feel that they have only two choices: naive hope or bitter realism. Fuller offers a third way: tragic realism with spiritual courage. Her life was full of so many disappointments, including romance and love. But then something remarkable happens in Italy. Margaret Fuller meets Giovanni Angelo Osoli. He was not her intellectual equal. No way. But he was tender. He was affectionate. He was warm. In him, she discovered something she had long needed. A man she did not need to impress. A man who returned her affection simply and without conditions. For a person formed by conditional love, what grace that must have been. She wrote that his character made, quote, a domestic place in this world. That phrase matters. She found home, not in theory, not in mind alone, home in love. Their child, Nino, is born, and she writes of how a child fills the gaps of life, how loneliness itself is changed. And I want to say this plainly. We sometimes tell the story of brilliant women in a way that treats love and domestic tenderness as lesser than public achievement. Fuller does not let us do that. Her work mattered. Her public witness mattered. But the fact that she found a place where she did not have to perform for love, that mattered too. Now comes the part of her story we cannot tidy. As Fuller prepared to return to America from Italy, she was filled with foreboding. She wrote of dreading the voyage, of dark feelings, of some coming crisis. Still, she persisted. The ship struck a sandbar near Fire Island, which is near New York City. The wooden hull began to break apart. The storm worsened. Rescue did not come in time. Fuller, Ossoly, and their child all drowned. Witnesses reported her final words: "I see nothing but death before me. I shall never reach the shore." There are moments when all the preacher can do is speak and then be still. Her death was not a moral allegory. It was not proof that she failed to transcend enough. It was tragedy. And if this sermon is going to help anyone who feels hemmed in, this needs saying. People here know what it is for life to deal a blow that does not feel instructive. It just feels devastating. And yet even here, Fuller teaches, not because her death is inspirational, it is not, but because her life remains a witness that a human being can live large, even when life is uncertain, even when the future is fragile. A larger life is not the same thing as a longer life, and it is certainly not the same thing as a protected life. So, what does this transcendentalist ancestor say to us today? I think she says, do not wait for a life without limitation before you begin to live deeply. Do not let your suffering shrink your imagination of who you may yet become. Do not mistake woundlessness for worthiness. Do not confuse self-culture with self-perfection. And do not let your longing embarrass you. Longing may be the holiest thing about you. Margaret Fuller held two truths together: the call to become more and the reality of tragic limits. She held on to both. And perhaps that is why she can still guide us today. She can guide the ambitious among us. She can guide the lonely among us. She can guide the overeducated and underloved among us. She can guide those trying to become, who are also simply trying to endure. You may be hemmed in, but you don't have to live a shrunken life. You may be carrying losses that will not disappear, and still you can sow new and immortal plants in the garden of God. That, dear ones, may be one of the most urgent forms of faith in our time. Not the faith that life will spare us, not the faith that progress is guaranteed, but the faith that within and against the limits of time and space and human nature, a soul can still grow. A soul can still love and awaken and become. May we have Margaret Fuller's courage for that work. Amen. Though days be dark with storms and burdens weigh my heart, though trouble wait at every turn, I know I can go on when sorrow heals my soul and burdens make me strong. Though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on. My sister in my heart, my brother in my song, though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on. And though the journey is long, the destination is clear. Though troubles wait at every turn, I know I can go on. So brothers, take my hand, and sisters, sing my song. When hope awaits at every turn, I know we will go on. Dark storms, heavy burdens, the latest thing in the news. This moment in history that keeps grinding away, troubles at every turn. And still, we can go on. And yet, we can. Say with me, yes, we can. Yes, we can. One more time, yes, we can. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Amen.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth.